we posted something on TikTok of Steve Harvey, and he was talking about multiple streams of income from a past episode that we talked about. And somebody was like, why would you need if that one thing that you love is paying you the most, right? And it always goes to, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. This next part, I feel like we're going to go real into this because we keep hearing this word, recession, recession, recession. Are we going into a recession? Are we in a recession? Recession, recession. And the great thing about saying that is it's not like the other one when we had the pandemic where you could get banned for saying the other word. And then id. But, fill that in. So we were watching a YouTube from Sean Kennel. Shout out to him. And he was talking about how do creators prepare for the recession. And I'm like, okay, well, how does personal brands and businesses get ready for the recession, right? So he brought up two interesting tweets that we're going to go over, where one of them says, companies will be spending less on activations and less on digital media. What does this mean? Plan less money from YouTube ads and expect Twitch new ad incentive program to take a hit too, so secure the bag while it's still offered. Also, less money from brand partnerships and activation. Supporters/viewers will be going through the same rough situation. Don't expect same tendencies of gifted subs, donations, and regular subs. Also, don't be tone deaf. Bring up free ways people can support watching your content, engaging on social, etc. So I figured, why don't we come up with 3 ways that personal brands who are growing businesses can prepare for the recession? What do you think, Moose?
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. I love it.
You go first.
Yeah, as far as my first one, I always think that one of the things that and by the way, just as maybe like a fine print, a disclaimer real quick, it's not a fear agenda. And be mindful of this as you approach the word recession and you consume content and news and information around it. There is some media sites that will try to use the word almost as a scare tactic. They want you to panic. They want you to feel fear. They want you to stress and have anxiety and not be able to think and really approach this in an intelligent way where you can come off on top or you can get through this situation and on the other end of it, be in a better situation than what you started. So be mindful of that. Although we're talking about the recession, this is in no shape or form is used to scare you, but more so prepare you and even excel you, right? Excel you forward beyond this or accelerate you. So when it comes to any times like this, and it should be really a seasonal thing, but even more so in a recession, you should always look to the people who are currently paying you and thinking about how can you better serve them before they start considering about cutting their expenses. It's difficult to reach someone when they've made the decision that they're going to scale back on their expenses. They're going to cut back on some services. They're going to just push some people out. And you happen to be one of the services that they deem to be an accessory, a nice to have, but not a need to have. So when you start making your calls and trying to build the relationship and stitch it back up at the moment you get the call saying, hey, thank you so much. You've been great, but we'll see you next season. We don't need you right now. It's a little uncomfortable, right? They've already made the decision. But if you're mindful of this, you should already be making calls, reaching out, looking for ways to add a little bit more value or extend some additional services, whatever they may be, to make sure that the people who are currently paying you are satisfied with your service. Almost reminding them of certain things that maybe they haven't been taken advantage of. There's a lot of times that clients or customers don't get the full value of what you could provide to them simply because they don't know how to use it or they don't know that you offer it. And you'll be surprised that when you start engaging with people, especially if you're a service provider, when you start engaging with your customers and just listening to their problems a little bit more, you'll start to know that they have services that you can benefit from that you didn't maybe even know they existed. Again, I told you I represent some partners, and we have discussions with maybe people that are providing services to the business. And I'm always curious to talk to them and figure out, how are we doing in maximizing every dollar that we're paying you? And it sounds like a funny question, but I'm really trying to be honest. Like, are we doing a good job of utilizing the money that we're paying you, utilizing your skill set and your resources? Is there something else that we can do better to make sure we're getting every dollar out of it? So I'm saying, if I were a service provider, and I have clients, well, I am a service provider to some extent, but I would do that first, Nix. I would reach out to my customers, my clients, and I would start looking for ways to add more value to them before stuff hits the fan and they're considering on cutting back, whatever the case may be. I no longer could be one of those people cut out the door, because I was proactive in making sure I'm adding more value. I'm making sure their needs are met. They're taken care of. They're prepared for something like this. It's rare that they're going to want to cut you when you do that.
And that's so good. That kind of leads to the whole conversation we have later. But no, that's so good, because now you're almost making it to a point where you become a need and not a want. And we're big on that. Like, how can, I'm the last person you're going to think of when we're talking about cutting things down. It's just like, hold on, this works perfectly, or this continues to go up, or we have no problem because so-and-so is going above and beyond. And it's like, and you kind of says, we shouldn't wait till a recession or a big situation where the economy can go down to even move that way. We should move that way at all times, because at any point, an economy going down is just more like nationwide, worldwide, whatever. A brand, a company can go down at any second, and they may have to make cuts today, tomorrow. Like it doesn't take something to happen to the economy for them to be like, hold on, let's make some cuts, right? And if we're not going above and beyond and just taking that extra step, and there's nothing wrong with that. And when we get into this conversation more deeper, you'll understand kind of where we're going with this. But it is so crucial in this time just to prepare on some, okay, this is a good check I get. I mean, this is, especially your good ones. Oh, this is a good check I get. I'm never going to assume I'm safe.
That's good.
I'm going to still ask, yo, what's the plan? What are we doing? Like with this situation, I have one where they have an event coming up. Yo, whoever's in charge of it, let them talk to me, because I want to make sure that this thing sells out. I don't have to. It's not part of my stuff. But especially if you believe in the brand that you're working with, the clients or whatever, right? If you believe in it and you want to continue to work with them, you see what else they have going on without necessarily asking. They're like, oh, you paying attention. Oh, you support it. Oh, hold on. Let's look out for this person, because they're proactive. And that's the big thing. Like staying proactive. Oh man, I had this conversation with an individual who won't really hear this podcast, or maybe they will. I don't know. But it was more like, there's always a question on, what is this person doing? What is this person doing? Right. And in response, the individual was like, yo, I can't do things 24, like in a 24-hour time period. I can't do this. Like, what more do they want from me? And I'm like, just be proactive. You
Hmm.
wait till they tell you what to do, or you go based off of, here is the line items that we go through. I'm going to do this, and that's it. And I'm going to wait till you actually tell me to do this. And that's it, right? To where, especially in this season, people are looking at those who are looking with the best interest of the company,
Mm.
and who are thinking a step ahead, because the company in itself is thinking of higher issues. And so if you could alleviate the thought process and the stress of this particular part, regardless of how big or small your role is within that client's whole scope of things, they would appreciate you a little bit more. They wouldn't question
Hmm.
what you do. They wouldn't like they wouldn't bring up like, oh, well, we want to give this person more money. Let's take away this, because what have they been doing? I never want in my lifetime to ever hear, yo, what is this? What does Nikki do? I
Mm.
never want to hear that. What do you mean, what does Nikki do? Like, I'm highly documented with what I do. What are you talking about? Right? Like, I never want to hear that. I've never heard that. So I'm good. Right? So it's important, just like how Moose said, to just go above and beyond. Now, my number two situation, which I thought Moose was going to say first, so I'll say it as number two, as like, you have to diversify your money.
Talk
Like,
about it.
it's not just about your main service or your main product. And it's like, yo, that's bringing in the money. So from the tweet that we saw, it was geared towards like creators. So, you think of YouTube, all the videos that you create, you may be getting money from AdSense, YouTube AdSense, right? Or from Twitch, they have their whole thing, or whatever, from Instagram through Reels, badges, Facebook, however you get paid from a media side of things, right? For
Hmm.
creators. Now, for personal brands, there's multiple ways of making money. Now, if you're selling a product, are people going to cut that down from buying that? Do you have a community, right? Are you doing events? Is that going to take a cut? Do you have coaching, consulting, right? There's As a personal brand, you get to set up in several different ways. If you only have one or two set up, you're in danger.
Yeah.
You're in extreme danger. Like, me and Carl had a call, and we were like, yep, it's merch time. It's merch time. It's time. It's The community's been asking for it. It's merch time, right? Once that's in place, it's going to be merch time for the podcast. So it's like, boom, the consulting's on point. I'm already thinking, okay, the conversation of agency has come up. I've narrowed it down to content agency when it does come in place, because it makes the most sense at this moment. Can it grow into something bigger? Cool, maybe. But for right now, uh, it may be that. Um, then, just having multiple things, tapping into the influencer side, all this stuff, right? You have to look at what you have and be realistic with, something's going to take a hit.
Mm.
Something is going to take it. And I forgot what it was. We posted something on TikTok of Steve Harvey, and he was talking about multiple streams of income from a past episode that we talked about. And somebody was like, why would you need if that one thing that you love is paying you the most, right? And
Yeah.
it always goes to, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You don't. There's no way that makes sense. Like if you have one job, you're in danger.
Yeah.
And that's scary because even for me, coming up from that world of like 9 to 5 and you wanted to get the 6-figure job and so you're good, blah blah blah. I've seen and to be super transparent, I've seen like my father get laid off, right?
Wow.
And scares of my mom losing her job too and having to maneuver that way. And it was a real situation that, like, oh snap, like you may be cushioned, we may be living good at a certain point, and then granted, I never felt it as a kid. Shout out to my mom for making sure of that. But internally for her, there was a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
Why? Because you depended, not her, but I mean, people depend on that one thing and don't have certain things in place, regardless if it's a small side hustle, regardless if it is it's something that you have intent to take over the world, whatever. As long as you understand your foundation, you can have multiple things with that foundation. Shout out to C.
Yeah.
He always breaks it down with the whole tree trunk situation. You know your foundation. E's foundation was speaking, right? Then there was books, there's merchandise, there's events, there's programs, there's all this stuff that goes still under the foundation of speaking. Are you diversifying? If not, this is the time to do so because
Yeah.
we have to prepare.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. And I love that you pointed that one out, because anytime I want to light a fire under my own butt to make sure that I'm still being mindful of that tip, I always just say, and if you've been listening to this podcast for a while or on the live show, I'm sure you've heard me say it, but I say one is too close to none. Right? If you have one revenue stream or one source of getting paid, well, that one is too close to none. So if they leave, if they decide to go in a different direction, if they decide to maybe have you sit on the bench for a little bit while they get their stuff together, well, you're going to be left with none. So I am definitely in support of that. One of the things that I've heard and I thought was a great kind of principle to use for building yourself up to these multiple streams without confusing your current consumer base or client base or audience, even yourself, really, is that, and I think especially in the online world, people with the idea of niche, they probably take it to extreme practice sometimes, where they don't understand that you can be niche down in a specific demographic, but not necessarily maybe cutting away opportunities from yourself at the same time. Like, yes, you want to focus on one thing, but not to the point that you're eliminating or limiting certain opportunities from you. So I love this principle of you can do multiple things at the same time. You just can't market them at the same time, right? So I can do coaching, consulting, and maybe a live event, but it's recommended that you're not trying to market both of them simultaneously with all efforts, because then, of course, you're going to confuse your audience. So for those of you who are wondering, well, how do I get that build up maybe multiple streams or diversify and not necessarily confuse my audience? But just know that you can do multiple things at the same time. Just don't try to actively market to both things at the same time. For me, I go a little bit more extreme. I like to do online sources and offline sources. That's for me is the way that it just makes sense. So if the world and the internet were to crash for 48 hours, God forbid, knock on wood, you know what I'm saying? Like, you still got some offline stuff, and vice versa. If the offline stuff were to go down, well, you still have something that you can rely on online and put more energy there to keep things going. So yeah, definitely think about what that means for you, whether that be picking up, an extra gig on the side, like you mentioned, through a side hustle or something like that, or simply rolling out a different service, a different type of thing that you bring to the market so that people can benefit and make use of during the recession or during this time.
That's good. I like it. What you got? What's the last
one, man. Last one, you cannot fly blind. All right, this is so critical. And by not flying blind, I always say, get to know your numbers. You'll be surprised at how in good times, most people are not really in tune with what's happening in their books. What does this cost them? How much money they're making from this? It's not of importance, right? And I tell Nicky this actually all the time. I say, it's not that I'm driven by money, but numbers is a good way for me to keep score. I don't necessarily need to be making a gazillion dollars, although if you're willing to pay me a gazillion, I'll take it. I'm just saying. But I don't need to be making it to say, oh yeah, like this is. No, I'm not saying that. But it's a good way for me to make sure that my efforts are contributing to winning the game. Like I'm succeeding at the game that I'm playing. At the end of the day, I'm still a numbers guy and I want it to make sense. So numbers is a great way for you to do it. But when you don't know your numbers, if you're not mindful of your profit margins, your average expenses on a month-to-month basis, or how much you're bringing in, you really don't know what you can afford to do intelligently and what you can't afford to do intelligently. For some of you, you might need to invest more. Maybe you're sitting on too much cash. Like they say, maybe save, I don't know, 3, 6, 12 months, depending on what is best for you. Maybe you're sitting on too much cash and you need to figure out ways to better invest. If you don't know your numbers, you won't know that. For some of us, we actually might need to pull back and cut back and look for ways to minimize spending a little bit. So because maybe we're doing some unnecessary spending. Again, you will never know if you don't know your numbers. So I would say, man, just take a couple hours, do a nice little run through your statements and see, okay, like maybe I'm spending a little too much eating out. Maybe I need to go back to the meal prep life. I need to start cooking at home. So I'm just saying, man, you cannot continue to fly blind, especially in what people are saying could be a recession. It's always best to know your numbers so you can know what you can afford and can't afford to do.
I agree with that. I'm not even going to go on that because you're the numbers person. I got nothing on that. But I do got a bonus one. I do have one bonus one. During or to prepare for this recession, I would say figure out a nurturing system for your audience. Right? As you saw in the tweet, kind of just like, figure out cool ways to allow your followers to still support you, but I'm going to say find cool ways to still be in their lives. Right? Don't ask for nothing. When we went through the pandemic, we saw a lot of brands do a lot of things for free. That's going to be the same situation now, where not maybe everything is for free, but this is the time where they're going to remember when there was a low time, who was just there for them and who was there for self. Mm-hmm. So how can you still create maybe a free service, free, I don't know, course, free something that is clear that this is a seasonal thing, right? Because some people did extra live shows or created a podcast or whatever just for that pandemic season. And then when we were back outside, they went back to the regular schedule. So in this vibe, how are we preparing to still be present in our audience lives, in our clients' lives? What are we doing that still adds value to them that we're not expecting them to do anything for? I don't want you to do anything. I don't need your money. I just want to be able to still serve you in some way, shape, or form, because long term, that means more. Long term, they're going to be like, when I have my dough back, I'm going to spend it on them first,
Mm.
because other people, when I needed it, was still charging me a guap of money. These people over here just continue to add value, and they didn't have to. So, and we remember, and this is going a little back, and why they still have some kind of longevity. This is why Versus did so well.
Yeah.
Versus was free. We watched it all. We were all in, it felt like a club together, right? Now they've monetized, and now they're selling tickets to different venues and things like that. But we remember what they did during the pandemic. So of course, I have no problem putting up some bread to be at a live event, because I
Yeah.
remembered all those times that I saw it for free when I shouldn't have.
That's good.
So, yeah, that bonus, figure out a nurturing system during this time period. And we don't know how long this quote unquote recession, when it'll happen, if it's already happening, how long is it going to be, but still have these particular tips in place, because it's eventually going to happen. The way that this is
Yeah.
speaking on, it's going to happen, and your audience, your client base, is going to get hit some way, shape, or form. So
It's a good word.
it's a good word.
It's a good word.